All right, what is up, traders? What's up, tycoons? Super excited for today's video. We are going to cover crypto and crypto-related stocks. All right, now we're going to take a look at Mara, we're going to take a look at Riot, and we're also going to take a look at MSTR. Okay, those are the three tickers we're going to cover, and we're going to see which one could potentially be the best setup and what they look like right now. Now, there's been lots of news related to cryptocurrency. All right, we have XRP getting a win there with the SEC. All right, you have BlackRock filing for their ETF. Now, they still haven't given an official Bitcoin ETF. Okay, they do have Bitcoin futures. All right, and here the SEC is sending mixed signals. Okay, they're actually allowing a 2x leveraged Bitcoin futures ETF, but we still don't have a Bitcoin spot price or a Bitcoin spot futures spot ETF. So the SEC is confused. Okay, it seems like they're finally starting to get some stuff in line. We're starting to see small win there for XRP. Okay, they are allowing this leveraged, all right, Bitcoin futures ETF. And, many people are saying that BlackRock is going to be able to get their ETF for Bitcoin. So we're going to see exactly how that plays out. All right. If we look at the weekly crypto asset flows, we're seeing huge amounts, hundreds of millions of dollars flowing into crypto assets. And the asset managers who thought that Bitcoin was cooked are jockeying to secure a position before the ETFs go live, right? Speaking of these BlackRock ETFs, right? But 70% of the supply is already in the hands of psychos who didn't even flinch when FTX blew up. Look at me in my laser eyes. The beating begins at 1,000K. So, a really interesting tweet there. All right, I like this tweet, so I wanted to include it in today's video. We're going to go ahead and break down the charts. As always, today's video is actually sponsored by Simply Wall Street. It's a really great platform. All right, you get a 14-day free trial using the link in the description and up to 40% off if you do decide to join them. It's a really great platform for doing some fundamental analysis. If you're not a pro at fundamental analysis, they have their pros doing the hard work for you, and it makes it super simple to see, what companies are potentially overvalued, what companies are potentially undervalued, right? And it breaks down things like the price to sales ratio, price to earnings ratio, compares them to the industry standard, to some of its peers, right? They have really great charts and graphs on there. It's a great platform. Definitely check it out. I've used them for a while. Glad to have them as a sponsor. All right, we're taking a look. I also do coaching sessions too. Okay, just want to mention that real quick. All right, exactlytrades@gmail.com. You can always shoot me an email and work on getting a coaching session if you guys are interested. As always, the content provided on this channel is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not intended to be relied upon as legal, financial, or investment advice. So, definitely be sure to read through the full disclaimer. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're actually going to go into, we're going to go over here to Trading View now and take a look there. Now, the first one we're starting off here is going to be Riot, okay? Ticker symbol RIOT. Riot absolutely blew past my bullish price targets, okay? We came up and filled this gap right here. That's what this box is. This was a gap on the daily time frame in between these two candles, and these gaps, they tend to fill about 90% of the time historically. The big question is, when are these gaps going to fill? Not so much if they're going to fill. We broke our RSI trend line here, got a clean breakout retest. We got the MACD crossover to the upside, and we got a very strong push and hit those targets. Now, typically after a 5-wave move to the upside, you'd be looking for an ABC correction, okay? This is what you want to see if you're actually bullish, okay? And if we do get an ABC correction, that would take Mara, okay? If we get the ABC correction and get a new 5-wave structure to the upside, we'd be looking at about 28 all the way up to about $32 for the price targets, okay? Now, why may that be? Why are we looking at that? Well, if we take a look from the all-time highs down to the lows that we created, okay, $32.38 is a 38.2% retracement, right? Now, these are the three most common and well-respected Fibonacci retracements. And we had a huge 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is actually a lower low right here. You just can't tell because it's zoomed out so much. But we got a 5-wave structure to the downside, and we should be getting an ABC up, right? And so the A would be a 5-wave. The B would be this ABC correction right here. And then the C would be this next 5-wave structure to the upside. And that would take us right around to 32.38. Okay. So, longer term, that's what I'm looking at as some potential price targets for Riot. If we zoom back in, okay, and take a look at the chart, we'll go over some of the key levels that you want to pay attention to right now. Now, there could still be plenty of upside potential in this. It doesn't have to follow this structure. Okay. This is just an Elliott wave structure here that we have on Riot. But we're going to see what actually plays out in the future. Now, if we look here, we can see that our week to date, all right, our weekly anchored VWAP, our month to date anchored VWAP, and our year to date anchored VWAP are all pointing up. Right now, this is very bullish. Okay, we're also trading above all three of those, so the hands are definitely in, or it's definitely in the hands of the bulls right now. Okay, this is all leading towards bullishness. Right, we have our anchored VWAP right here. Our week today is going to be a strong level right around $18. Okay, then at 1671 we have the monthly anchored VWAP right there. That's going to be another strong level. All right, and then we have our year today anchored VWAP right around $10, which is actually our 61.8% retracement level. Okay, so the way to use all of this data, right, is market makers, institutions, big money, all right, let's just call them big money, they buy and sell at the anchored VWAPs, okay? You can see here, very clearly we come back down to this year today anchored VWAP and we get a very strong push to the upside, right? And it's really just been straight up ever since then. So, if we do pull back, all right, it would make a lot of sense to see buyers step in at $10. Now, we may not go all the way down to $10, okay? This year today anchored VWAP is going to continue to creep up. Right, but ultimately, these three levels right here, the 38.2, 50%, and 61.8, those are the three most common and well-respected fib retracement levels. These are going to be the areas that we're targeting in our ABC correction, okay? So $14, basically $12 and $10, all right? Those are the rough prices there. This is where I think that the stock can go if we pull back. And these are going to be some key areas of support. We're really not going to be bearish on Riot until we break below that 988. If we break below this and flip that to resistance from support, then most likely we're going to get a reversal and come down and retest some of the previous lows around $5, $6, maybe even potentially go lower. But as I mentioned right now, all hands are in the bulls. Very overbought on the daily RSI right here. But a lot of people misinterpret overbought as bearish, right? You can see here we were overbought, okay? And what did we do? We pulled back for a healthy breather, all right? And, and then we actually blasted off again, right? Same thing over here. Overbought in these time periods, right? And what do? We just consolidate and blast off. And we're overbought again, consolidate, and then blast off, all right? So, being overbought doesn't have to mean the end of the world. It just means that, there's a greater chance right here of a pullback and, buying into a pullback at these overbought conditions, right? So, that's something, maybe you can wait for the RSI to cool off a little bit, get back below 70, and see where things will go from there. Okay, now let's go into Mara, all right, and let's take a look at Mara real quick, all right. Mara, lovely Mara. All right. And so Mara, what I'm seeing is actually a cup and handle, right? Right here, we have a nice cup forming. I do think that this also is due for a little bit of a pullback. And if we get that pullback, that could end up forming a handle here, right? So if we zoom out a little bit, we can see a little bit more. We have this area of liquidity that we came up to. We're actually looking for that after we got the breakout here. We wanted a breakout, retest of this zone, push up higher. In my last Mara video, we covered that. And that's exactly what we got. Now, if this thing has some more steam in it, okay, we could head up to $22.30, right? But for right now, all right, these are going to be the major levels that I'm looking at. All right, we have this liquidity zone here from 1878 all the way down to about 1555. We're going to see, do we consolidate in here, all right, and find some support, start to trade sideways, and then go back up higher? Or are we potentially going to pull back down? All right. We have our weekly and monthly anchored VWAP right there in this zone. And then we have the year-to-date anchored VWAP right here at the top of the previous zone at $10. You can see here even clearer, once we broke through this structure here, we got the breakout retest of this zone. We consolidated here, and then we got a strong push to the upside. Right. If we were to look at some major levels of support, we could come in here and draw these real quick, and we would have, basically right there at the top of the bottom of that zone, 1552 is going to be your 38.2% retracement. We got 1417 and then 1282. Those are going to be some key levels. If we end up breaking through these levels, right, and we don't bounce off of these levels and continue higher, then, you know, we would be looking at a retest of this $10 supply zone, demand zone that we mentioned earlier that we consolidated in right here. So those would be some key levels of support. You know, again, a healthy pullback does make sense, right? If we take a look here, we also seem to have gotten a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then you would be looking for an ABC correction somewhere down to these levels, right? And then you would get another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to the upside if that wants to play out. We'll see how things work out on Mara. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at MSTR. This is MicroStrategy, all right, and this is you know, basically heavily correlated to Bitcoin, all right, and the price of Bitcoin. We reached our first liquidity zone up here, all right, right at about 475, 476 to about 463. There is a bump and run pattern right here, which is indicated by these two trend lines. So you do need to be cautious here, right? We have the prevailing uptrend, and then we have our bump. And if we break through this trend line here, that would be the run. And typically you would end up breaking through the second trend line as well and go back to retest some of the previous lows. So it's just a, you know, pattern that I'm watching. All right. You know, as you're watching patterns develop, you know, you want to stay ahead of the game, but you don't want to jump into a trade early and try to go long or short something until the pattern is confirmed, right? This thing can just trade completely sideways. All right. And that would completely invalidate the pattern, or it could break the trend line and then go back above the trend line. And again, that would invalidate the pattern. So, you know, this is just something that I'm watching to be cautious of. And, you know, these are some of the main areas. Now, if we look at the next round of bullish price targets, if we are to exceed the highs that we just created, that would be right around 523 to about 510, let's call it. That's going to be your liquidity zone there. Again, same as the others, right? We're trailing, we're moving above all of the anchored VWAPs we have right here. The RSI is overbought. So, you know, it does make sense if we would get some type of a pullback. Again, just because something's overbought doesn't mean that it has to go lower. You can see we're overbought over here. We do get a pullback, right? But then we pull up and push higher and create a higher high. So, you know, things are looking pretty good in many places in the market right now. And, you know, we're going to see, will that continue? In my eyes, I do think that we are going to be getting some type of a pullback, you know, throughout July. We'll see if that pullback lasts through July and maybe extends into August or September, or you know, if we just get, you know, another healthy little retracement to continue these uptrends and really, you know, continue the bullishness that we've seen in the market. You know, keep a close eye on these crypto related stocks. They're very volatile. And with all of this news surrounding Bitcoin and just cryptocurrency in general, these have a lot of attention of both retail traders and institutional traders looking to get exposure to Bitcoin, looking to trade the hype, trade the news, trade the rally, be part of the movement. So, you know, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more.